when you see headlines like this, Canada's boycott America movement is hurting innocent bystanders. Does it piss you off? It's like they are trying to turn it round so they become the victim. When it's the United States that is hurting Canada. Anyway, I thought I'd just share this article with you, and we'll read through it in a moment, because there's some elements of it I think is a right feckin' Mickey take. This is in the CNN business, and it is. Anyway, look at my Sebastian dog. Ain't he cute? He's all white and lovely, he is. Look at him. Anyway, he likes our new old sofa. He does. Anyway, the thing is, you see, let's get on point, shall we? Anyway, this is the article in the CNN business, right? It says Canada's boycott America movement is hurting innocent bystanders. Let's make something perfectly clear here. It's Donald Trump that started the boycott. They started boycotting Canadian products using tariffs. They started the boycott to do harm. Whereas Canada just repaid the favour and say, okay, we'll have our own boycott, effectively. It might not be what they said at the time, but it's effectively what's going on. And so we'll protect our own industries and our country. Since you're telling us that you're going to invade us. Us being Canadians. I'm not Canadian, I'm Brit living in France. Okay, it sounds a bit strange, I know. But there you go. I'm talking about Canada at the moment. Because I just love the fact that the Canadian people have stood up against this tyranny. It's bad enough having a tyranny in their own country and let them feck their own country up. But when they start fecking yours up and all and every other bloody country out there, well then quite frankly they need to be held to account. That they do. Anyway. I do believe there are nice Americans. I've got some good people on this channel as well in the comments. I've got to point that out because it's very easy to stereotype everybody. It's the same. I know that it's very difficult to separate them because obviously 80-odd million did vote for Donald Trump. But I don't want. You see, at some point in the future, we hope this madness will heal. All right, and that Donald Trump will no longer be there. There'll be a more liberal party. Maybe Bernie Sanders. All right, maybe Bernie Sanders will live until he's like 105 or something. He'll be the next president of the United States. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Everyone having free health care and all that shit. Wouldn't that be good for the American people? Maybe they won't be so, how to put it, aggressive and dying everywhere because they can't afford healthcare. Unlike Canada, for instance. Canada's got it always, hasn't he? Just beautiful country, and you've got free healthcare, so you've got healthy citizens. It just makes perfect sense. Like I said before, you can't have a healthy economy without a healthy population, unless we're all going to be turned to AI. But then, I suppose they've got to be serviced as well. The thing is, though, right, I don't think it can be replaced by AI, or will it? Intercourse. There was Mike Myers, weren't there? With the fembots. And the machine gun jablies. I think I mentioned that in my last video. The little gun turrets. Anyway. I just love Austin Powers. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And the first one with the machine gun jablies, it just made me laugh. It's all misogynistic rubbish, but the door swung both ways, bowly, crap, It's just squitty humour. And I love squitty humour. It's kind of what a lot of British humour is based on. It's like squitty humour, like the Benny Hills and all that shit, It's great. It's great. Anyway, let's get back on track. Let's have a look at this article, because there's a few things now. Okay, they're showing a picture here of Buy Canadian instead, and that they are. They took all the Kentucky bourbon off the shelves. At the end of the day, you produce your own whiskies. So why would you buy Kentucky bourbon? Because at the end of the day, isn't that exactly the rhetoric that Donald Trump keeps saying? Oh, well, American products for American people instead of importing stuff. That's basically what he's saying. You're just doing the same as what he's doing. So what have these people got to complain about? Isn't that true? No? Okay. Anyway, let me continue. So, okay. The Virginia distillery in New York CEO Gareth Moore was bullish on his company's American single malt whiskey sales. American single malt, you should get a fact. Oh, what can I do? Or something like that. You know, go to Scotland. If you're going to have a single malt, stick with your sour mashers, alright? Maker's Mark. Okay, that's a good one, alright? But not bloody Jack Daniels. That's a load of crap. That is fucking else. Tastes like sick. Anyway, but then the demand crashed as the centuries-long friendship between the United States and Canada broke down. Amid bruised feelings. How patronising is that? Bruised feelings? Really? Is that really what the term that they do? Is that how they see it? In the United States, in CNN Business, bruised feelings. It was an attack on Canada and the Canadian people, who apparently had this wonderful relationship. Donald Trump comes up and just bloody tossed the feckin' lot of it. It's more than bruised feckin' feelings. It goes into the core of who the Canadian people are. I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be just as fucking bad. Except they probably ain't fighting amongst themselves, and a few drive-bys and stuff like that. With looking, cars with like spinning discs on and stuff. You know how it goes. So only bruised feelings, like I said, over tariffs and President Donald Trump's threat to make Canada the 51st state. The thing about Donald Trump's threats, they're not threats; they're statements. Everything he's been saying during his campaign, he's pretty much been doing it. And the man that people say, don't listen to what you say, just pay attention to what he does. Bollocks. Sorry, Horlicks. Yeah, no. I see why the Canadian people are a little bit concerned. Like I do. Trump is not to be trusted. So he said that we were looking to triple the business. Instead, it collapsed to zero. To Canada. Moore told CNN in a phone interview, and it was almost like suddenly the whiskey didn't taste good because of where it was from. It's more than this, whether the whiskey tastes good. The whiskey tastes perfectly fine, probably, but more than that. The Canadian people, US whiskey now is soulless. Means nothing to anybody anymore, How can you enjoy something that you know full well the money's going to a country and to a tax system that is used to attack Canada? Why would you buy it? Why would you travel to the United States? And, as we already know, I made a video about that earlier, Canadian people ain't traveling to the United States as they once did before. Why would they? The Canadian officials went so far as to ban American spirits. No. That's not even what happened. But anyway, from their store shelves, as a prohibition that still exists in many provinces today. Actually, to be fair, I think one of the southeastern provinces, I can't remember which one it is now, did actually pretty much banned it effectively. I don't know if it was by law or anything stupid like that. I can't remember that, to be honest, top of my head. I think there was something like that. Well, maybe you can highlight me. Inform me in the comments down below. Not highlight me, because, that's a highlight. I don't want to be highlighted, okay? No. I like my colour. I'll stick with it. As long as I can. I don't want to be highlighted. Anyway, this was all about some ugliness that we're not a part of, he says. But you are a part of it. It says Virginia Distillery. The clue is in the name, you plonker. And who did you vote for? We're not in politics. I'm sorry, but everybody is in politics. Because politics affects everybody. I didn't think I was in politics years ago, and I just suddenly clicked, hang on, we're all in politics. We all have a part to play. We all have a vote for a start. As soon as you make that vote, you're in politics. Plain and simple. Some people are just trying to alleviate himself any responsibility. We're just some guys in Virginia making good whiskey, but unfortunately we're the victims. No, you're not the fucking victims. You're part of the problem if you're talking like that. If you were supporting Canada and showing some support, I understand why it's happened. I mean, but no, so poor old me, poor hard done by me. You know, he's your president for fuck's sake. Anyway, Canadian visitors vanish. Yes, it's not just Canadians are refusing to or unable to drink American booze due to the bans. It's also that many are deciding not to visit the United States. I just made a video about that. Flights down 16%, road travel down 36%. Well, that's being a blow to countless resorts and travel businesses, and once relied on a steady stream of Canadian visitors. But you got to remember about this, it's not just whether it's that resort, it's all the other little businesses associated with it. It's the corner shops selling the little flags on sticks and shit. You know what I mean? There's that kind of crap. All those little stores, they all end up going under because they can't afford to operate. They can't keep the doors open. It's just how it is. You know? And I'm sure many of those people voted for the Orange von Schitzenpanzen in the White House. You know? So, yes, you are responsible. So, it's stealing her below it, is it? Okay, alright. So it says here, on a normal year, roughly 70% of the daily golfers at Bluff Point Golf Resort in Plattsburgh, New York, are Canadians. Not this year. They're saying, sod you, we're not going. And why would anyone want to go anyway? End of the day, you get fucking kidnapped. And you end up in the gulag somewhere. I've said it before, I'll say it again. 150 Canadians are still missing. So it's been a dramatic drop. It's very rare that we see someone pull in to play golf that's coming from Canada, said Paul Dame, owner of Bluff Point Golf Resort, which is located 35 miles from downtown Montreal. Canadian visitors by land to the United States have plunged 31%, 36% actually, so far this year through the end of September, according to the most recent data from, no, actually it's 16%. Yeah, maybe that's maybe I've got different data, but anyway, it might be different source. Bluff Point Golf Resort has responded by cutting hours and staff among its housekeeper. People lose their jobs as a result of Donald Trump. Remember, last month's job numbers were in the negatives for the United States. Last month's, September's job numbers for Canada are up. 60,000 jobs. He says, the tough thing for us is, it's nothing we've done. We've worked hard to grow our business and lure folks who want to come across the border, Dame said. Canadians just ain't happy. It's not economic policy, it's these hurtful things said about their country. Okay, at least it's acknowledging it, that it is hurtful. It is hurtful, but even that doesn't even get to the bottom of it. Trump is not just saying hurtful things. He is making a subtle, well, even subtle with him, is, to be fair, it's a threat. It is a threat. Anyway, he says we're hunkering down, says Mark Collins, who was born and raised in Newfoundland, Canada. So the Canadians have, I wonder what he has to say that he's Canadian, have long treasured their friendship with the United States and the fact that the US-Canada border is the longest undefended border on the planet. And one bit of it is amazingly straight, according to Trump. Well, it is actually, but I'm sure it's not that straight when you walk it. No, but earlier this year, Collins, CEO of Seattle-based ferry service Clipper Navigation, noticed a sudden drop in bookings from Canada. into the United States. Ridership between Vancouver and Seattle have plunged 30% so far this year, the company said. Collins said that while the currency exchange rate is always a challenge for Canadians visiting the United States, obviously the dollar is weak at the moment, so, might be quite good, I suppose. Well, the straw that broke the camel's back was Trump's threat to make Canada the 51st US state. So at least he understands to some degree. After all, he fought up Canada, so, he's Canadian. Now, there is definitely a sense of national pride being offended, people said. Well, if it's going to be like that, I have no choice, and my choice is not to travel to the United States, Collins said. Hurt by a grim decline in the cross-border bookings, so these are like horse trials, I imagine. Collins said that his company had been forced to shrink its schedule sharply and lay off a quarter of its workforce. End of the day, I suppose this business is Canadian, so that's not good for Canada, I suppose. But, everyone's going to make sacrifices, aren't they? We're hunkering down. It doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. That won't do. This is going to leave a foul taste in the Canadians' mouths for a very long time. Understandably so. There's a reluctance to visit the United States. Plain and simple. There's so many people saying the same thing effectively, but some of them just don't really quite get it. They don't understand why there's a problem. It's denial, isn't it? Stupidity? A lack of thinking? Not having any empathy? Maybe, I don't know. I just find the whole thing a little bit depressing, I'll be honest with you. I don't like to see it. I don't like to see what's going on in the United States. I hate seeing good people being beaten up on the streets and dragged by their ankles, by one victim being dragged off by like 4 people and just dragged across the bloody. That's what they'd be doing. They'd be tying it to the back of a vehicle and dragging it across the fucking road. Or horse. The other day, pastor, he got shot in the head by a bloody rubber pepper ball or something, pepper ball. It's just totally out of hand. These people are like a lord of themselves now, and it's just no one wants to go there. No one wants anything to do with it. And anything we spend in the United States, whether it be the Canadian people, whether it be the Brits, French, Germans, anybody, the more we spend with the United States, the more we engage with Donald Trump, the more we're funding it. Now, we criticise other countries, don't we? We sanction Russia, obviously, because of its attacks on Ukraine. Why the fuck aren't we sanctioning the United States? Because we're bloody scared of them. Because we're the cowards. We don't stand up to the bullies. It's always about appeasement. How do you appease Donald Trump? I know. We'll just all suckle on his chocolate starfish. That's what we'll do. You never appease a bully. Never. I learnt that in school, I'll tell you. You never appease a bully. It never works out in your favour. Never. You just end up always being capitulator. You always be the one who's having to suckle onto the old chocolate starfish, I suppose. You're selling your soul. If you haven't anything to do in the United States, buying anything in the United States, you're selling your soul. A little piece of it. It's going every time. Every time you hand any money over to Canada, I'm talking about, everywhere. I find it really painful when I see world leaders, alright, including Mark Carney and Keir Starmer and Macron, all that. Oh, in fact, Macron maybe not sucking up to him, but this fucking rhetoric we heard at in Egypt, the so-called peace deal, which wasn't even negotiated by Trump. It was probably GE or something. It was about Arab countries involved in it. And yet he's getting all the credit for it. What the fuck's going on there? And they're all sucking up to him. The Pakistani bloody Prime Minister, or President, whatever it is, and he's sucking up to him. To Trump. Oh, yes, so wonderful. You did this, you did... No, he didn't do any of it. All you're doing is making the situation worse. And that's why I respect Canada. Because Canada is standing up to the bully. And that's why it's important. And we all must stand up against the bully. Donald Trump has proved to the world that he's unreliable. Unreliable. And quite frankly, he's a felon. The fact he's anywhere near that White House is a disgrace. It's a shit stain on that White House. I'm talking about shit stains. He usually has got one, isn't he? You know what I mean? Anyway, how do you feel about that? Huh? Are you happy that you're causing innocent bystanders to feel a little bit hurt, according to the CNN business? Or do you think, well, Sodom? Quite frankly. If they were supporting Canada, maybe buy more Canadian, even though the tariffs on it. But, you know, to be fair, a lot of Americans got no choice, have they? But to buy Canadian, especially regarding timber and steel and what. They're still going to buy Canadian. Maybe a bit less of it, but they'll still buy it. Because the US ain't producing enough. And it ain't going to. The problem is, you see, no one's going to invest in the United States while they don't know what's going on. They need reliability. And there ain't no reliability with this fucking orange von shits and pants, and you don't know what he's going to do next to you. Anyway, I'm digressing somewhat. But anyway, what do you reckon about this? Alright, that. Okay, that one. Yeah, that. What do you reckon about that? Leave it in the comments down below. And if you want to beat the old like button, maybe subscribe to the channel, little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. And you want to support the channel, you can do it on Patreon or buy us a coffee. And then, with the microphone, forgetting I've got speaking to it. Well, you see my doggy. There's one there, and there's another one down there. Anyway, we might feed a dog one or two. That you might, if you the links down below anyway. Oh dear, my throat's gone now. I'm losing my voice again. Fibromyalgia. Do you realise how difficult it is to make these videos? I have to pick my moment. Half the time I can't talk at all. Dear me. I don't suppose this job helps much, does it? Toodaloo.